I did a lot of research into the different types of Swiss Army knives to see which one I would use the most. I originally bought the Pioneer Alox Silver knife because I liked that it's the same model that the actual Swiss Army soldiers used from the 60s up till now. This knife is almost exactly the same as the Spartan in terms of size. It's big and has 2 slots with tools. The Pioneer comes with a large blade, can opener with screwdriver, bottle opener with screwdriver and sharp pointed edge for poking holes. brbrI was pleased with the knife since it looks classy, but I wanted something that was more useful for everyday use. I like the Spartan because it's identical to the original Swiss knife, but I wanted to look further. I stumbled onto so many different models for a variety of uses. Tools such as the wood saw, pliers, magnifying glass for instance I found that I don't use every day. Plus I found that it's better to use other more sturdier tools than a knife if you want to use pliers. The more tools make these knives too bulky and not ideal for carrying everywhere. brbrI wanted something simple, yet eclectic.
The tool lineup is very useful. I do not miss the 2 Phillips screwdriver. Lots of people complain about that not being there. The tip of the can opener works for Phillips screws as long as they're not super tight. If it's that tight, you need real tools anyway. The corkscrew is useful for more than just opening wine bottles too. Very good at loosening up tight knots. .brbrI All of the tools on mine are easy to open and close, including the hook, which many people seem to have trouble with. .brbrI This knife has the hole for the pin and needle, not a pin near the corkscrew, but does not come with a pin. .brbrI The scissors are very sharp, very nice to use, and some of the best multi-tool scissors out there. .brbrI The blades were reasonably sharp, though they did have a small burr which required a couple passes on the stone to remove. It didn't take much, and it's razor sharp now, but I did deduct a star because I had to hone it right out of the box.
This Swiss knife is more of an urban type of carry. Scissors to cut a tightly sealed bag of food, the bottle opener to open a cold beer, a can opener to open some beans because you can't find the actual can opener because you live in an apartment with 4 other guys and you have no idea where anything is, the corkscrew to open the bottle of wine so you can be the hero for the night, the hanger thing to hang the Swiss on the nail so you can drape your coat over it so it doesn't touch the floor, the knives to cut up some fruit when you're on the go, the reamer to cut a hole in your belt so you can tighten it even more because you lost weight because you don't have any food because your housemates keep eating everything in sight, and the toothpick to pick your teeth so you don't look gross when you take a girl out to dinner. .brbrI Tip: get the red one. People can immediately identify it as a Swiss Army knife so they won't freak out when you pull it out in public.
I wanted to get my son an officer's knife like the one I've carried for many years. It seemed it was no longer in production. So I chose this Army Climber pocket knife and the nearest thing. It supposedly had a saw and lost the item which you evidently use to carry string-tied bags. The packaging said Army Climber pocket knife, but when we opened it on Christmas, amazingly it was the officer knife that I actually wanted. So there is some kind of mix-up in what it says on the box and in the description and what really gets put in the box. Buyer beware. If you really wanted an Army Climber pocket knife, you'd have been disappointed. I wasn't really.
While I gave this one as a gift, I put considerable thought to it, and it was well received and I own one already. .brbrI The Climber has a good choice of tools that folks use regularly. Scissors, bottle opener, corkscrew, the awl, and of course the blades get regular use on mine. All the tools perform well, and the blade is reasonably easy to sharpen. .brbrI The blue handle scales on the one I gave as a gift are a twist on the traditional red, but fit the occasion well and still looks nice. .brbrI Van Court.
How do you make a Victorinox climber even better? Put some really cool glow in the dark scales on it. I've been carrying a Victorinox Swiss Army of one type or another every day since I was a child. I love them. They are very well made, supremely handy, and affordable. They are so affordable that I have no idea why people buy the cheap Chinese knockoffs other than they just don't know any better. It's hard to think of anything more useful one could put in their pocket. We have several models, but my first was a Super Tinker I still have from around 30 years ago. The 3-layer knives with the awesome scissors is really the sweet spot for me. They have a very useful selection of tools without being a lump in the pocket. I like the climber over the Super Tinker because I feel the corkscrew with the not included mini screwdriver is more handy than the Phillips driver coming out the back to form a handle that often won't reach the screw. The tip of the can opener blade works pretty well on Phillips head screws anyway. So, I carry a climber most of the time or a Spartan or a Alox Pioneer sometimes when I want something thinner.
My daughter bought this for me as one of my Christmas gifts and I love it. I find myself needing to always keep it with me when I'm on the go and at work. It's very handy and the perfect size to fit right into your pocket. Quality is outstanding. I have an older Swiss Army knife my dad gave me when I was 1415-ish, and it's still in perfect, pristine condition. These knives are an investment that could literally last your lifetime.
Bought one of these Victorinox Swiss Army knife Super Tinker models over 30 years ago and it has never let me down. Bought this recent one as a gift based on my experience with mine. These years later, and no rust on this knife. I have carried it daily, everywhere hiking, biking, camping, freshwater fishing, and even just to work. Thin, lightweight, and very pocketable. .brbrI The basic components of this knife are great. Stainless steel. The two knife blades, the screwdrivers, the can and bottle opener. The scissors have really come in handy time and again, to cut paper, string, shoelaces, and bandages. And, I prefer having the Phillips head screwdriver as opposed to the corkscrew on the back of the tool like this model has. But I don't like the all-purpose hook on the back of the tool. They've been putting that on all of the knives that have scissors since the early 90s.
Great TDC has a pair of scissors and a small secondary blade to round off the perfect package. It also didn't hurt that I got this sack at $17.50 on sale. I still think that at the $37.00 they usually ask is a reasonable price for this knife. This is as close to the perfect Swiss Army lineup as I've ever found. I wanted scissors, awl, and corkscrew. The hook is a waste of space. I wish it had a Phillips head screwdriver instead. I also bought the mini screwdriver that fits in the corkscrew, and have used it several times. .brbrI slip this elegant little tool in my pocket every single day, and it's amazing how many uses I find for it. If you have this with you, you're prepared for a great many eventualities.